For it is as in the old rhyme, "The spirit proud, peacock and horse are the three proudest things of earthly source." After such self-questionings and self-testings, one learns to look with a sharper eye at all that has hitherto been philosophised; one divines better than before the arbitrary byways, side streets, resting-places, and sunny places of thought, to which suffering thinkers, precisely as sufferers, are led and misled. One knows now in what direction the sickly body and its requirements unconsciously press, push, and allure the spirit: towards the sun, stillness, gentleness, patience, medicine, refreshment in any sense whatever. Every philosophy which puts peace higher than war, every ethic which has a negative grasp of the idea of happiness, every metaphysic and physic that knows a finale, an ultimate condition of any kind whatever, every predominating aesthetic or religious longing for an aside, a beyond, an outside, an above, all these permit one to ask whether sickness has not been the motive which inspired the philosopher. The unconscious disguising of physiological requirements under the cloak of the objective, the ideal, the purely spiritual, is carried on to an alarming extent; and I have often enough asked myself whether, on the whole, philosophy hitherto has not generally been merely an interpretation of the body, and a misunderstanding of the body. Behind the loftiest estimates of values by which the history of thought has hitherto been governed, misunderstandings of the bodily constitution, either of individuals, classes, or entire races are concealed. One may always primarily consider these audacious freaks of metaphysic, and especially its answers to the question of the worth of existence, as symptoms of certain bodily constitutions; and if, on the whole, when scientifically determined, not a particle of significance attaches to such affirmations and denials of the world, they nevertheless furnish the historian and psychologist with hints so much the more valuable (as we have said) as symptoms of the bodily constitution, its good or bad condition, its fullness, powerfulness, and sovereignty in history, or else of its obstructions, exhaustions, and impoverishments, its premonitions of the end, its will to the end. I still expect that a philosophical physician, in the exceptional sense of the word, one who applies himself to the problem of the collective health of peoples, periods, races, and mankind generally, will some day have the courage to follow out my suspicion to its ultimate conclusions, and venture on the judgment that in all philosophising it has not been a question of "truth" at all, but of something else, namely, of health, futurity, growth, power, life. It will be surmised that I should not like to take leave ungratefully of that period of severe sickness, the advantage of which is not even yet exhausted in me, for I am sufficiently conscious of what I have in advance of the spiritually robust generally, in my changeful state of health. A philosopher who has made the tour of many states of health, and always makes it anew, has also gone through just as many philosophies; he really cannot do otherwise than transform his condition on every occasion into the most ingenious posture and position. This art of transfiguration is just philosophy. We philosophers are not at liberty to separate body and soul, as people separate them. We are still less at liberty to separate soul and spirit. We are not thinking frogs, we are not objectifying and registering apparatuses with cold entrails. Our thoughts must be continually born to us out of our pain, and we must, mother-like, share with them all that we have in us of blood, heart, ardour, joy, passion, pang, conscience, fate, and fatality. Life, that means for us to transform constantly into light and flames all that we are, and also all that we meet with. We cannot possibly do otherwise. And as regard to sickness, should we not be almost tempted to ask whether we could in general dispense with it? It is a great pain only which is the ultimate emancipator of the spirit, for it is the teacher of the strong suspicion which makes an X out of every U, a true, correct X, i.e., the anti-penultimate letter. Translator's footnote. That means literally to put the numerical x instead of the numerical v, paren formerly u, end paren. Hence it means to double a number unfairly, to exaggerate, humbug, cheat. End of translator's footnote. It is a great pain only, the long, slow pain which takes time, by which we are burned as it were with green wood, that compels us philosophers to descend into our ultimate depths, and divest ourselves of all trust, all good nature, veiling, gentleness, and averageness, wherein we have perhaps formerly installed our humanity. I doubt whether such pain "improves" us, but I know that it deepens us. Be it that we learn to comfort it with our pride, our scorn, our strength of will, doing like the Indian who, however sorely tortured, revenges himself on his tormentor with his bitter tongue. Be it that we withdraw from pain into the oriental nothingness, it is called nirvana, into mute, benumbed, deaf self-surrender, self-forgetting, and self-effacement. One emerges from such long, dangerous exercises in self-mastery as another being, with several additional notes of interrogation, and above all, the will to question more than ever, more profoundly, more strictly, more sternly, more wickedly, more quietly than has ever been questioned hitherto. Confidence in life is gone. Life itself has become a problem. Let it not be imagined that one has necessarily become a hypochondriac thereby. Even love of life is still possible, only one loves differently. It is the love of a woman of whom one is doubtful. The charm, however, of all of that is problematic. The delight in the X is too great in those more spiritual, more spiritualized men, not to spread itself again and again like a clear glow over all the trouble of the problematic, over all the danger of uncertainty, and even over the jealousy of the lover. We know a new happiness. 4. Finally, paren, that the most essential may not remain unsaid, end paren, one comes back out of such abysses, out of such severe sickness, and out of the sickness of strong suspicion new born, with the skin cast, more sensitive, more wicked, with a finer taste for joy, with a more delicate tongue for all good things, with a merrier disposition, with a second and more dangerous innocence in joy, more childish at the same time, and 100 times more refined than ever before. Oh, how repugnant to us now is pleasure, coarse, dull, drab pleasure.